Lesson 4 of your notes will cover covalent bonds. Covalent bonds are the third and final type of bond that we'll discuss this unit. The notes are on page 4 of your green notes packet. So make sure you have that and your periodic table ready to go. All right, covalent bonds are also known as molecular bonds. So you'll see the terms covalent and molecular used interchangeably. They both represent the same thing. And these bonds will share electrons. So if you remember from your first set of notes, ionic bonds transfer electrons and covalent bonds share electrons. Molecule is a term used for two atoms joined by covalent bonds. So when you say the term molecule, it really only represents covalent bonds. And covalent bonds are formed from two nonmetals when they bond from the periodic table. A binary molecule, so binary means two. Binary is when two atoms are joined by covalent bonds, such as HCl. Another term that you'll see is diatomic molecule. So di means two, and diatomic molecule is a molecule of two identical atoms that have to exist as a pair. So the oxygen that's in the air that you breathe has to be O2. Chlorine gas is Cl2. So in your yellow packet, there is a list of diatomic elements on the bottom of the common ion sheet. So I sometimes use the acronym Brinkelhoff. So those are your diatomic elements: bromine, iodine, nitrogen, chlorine, hydrogen, fluorine, and oxygen. Those elements and only those elements have to exist as a pair when they are by themselves. All right, structural versus molecular formulas. A structural formula shows the structure. So it's going to show a drawing. It's going to show the number, type, and arrangement of atoms in a covalent compound. So in your notes, it has some lines for what's the difference between a molecular formula and a structural formula. And underneath that, it says draw an example of each. So on the lines, you could put the definition. And then in the drawing, you would draw or write the example of NH3. So this structural formula shows that nitrogen is the central atom. It has 3 hydrogens branching off that. It shows these lone unbonded electrons at the top. All of that will be important as we move into Lewis structures, which starts tomorrow, I believe. And then molecular formula only shows the number of atoms of each element in the compound. So molecular formula would just be NH3. It wouldn't have a drawing, it would just have that chemical formula. So again, under molecular formula in your notes, you wouldn't really have a drawing, you would just have the NH3, and then under the structural formula, you would have the drawing of that shape. All right, a few more terms just to review and show the distinction between. Covalent compounds are referred to as molecules. Ionic compounds are referred to as formula units. So that's just kind of a distinction that you'll see that you should know. Ionic, if it's a metal and a nonmetal, is going to be called a formula unit. Covalent compounds, which are two nonmetals, are called molecules. All right, and finally, here are our 3 properties of covalent compounds. So covalent compounds are generally gases or liquids at room temperature. They usually have low melting points, and they generally do not conduct electricity. So those are 3 common properties of covalent compounds.